Um, sure, let me just quickly share my screen. Good morning, everyone. As Monique has said, it's me, Delanie. I am the General Manager for My Walk Made with Soul. I hope everyone can see the screen. Let me just quickly check. Are you able to see the screen? Monique, maybe if you can just give me feedback quickly.
100% Delanie, we can see you. You are live and ready to go.
Okay, wonderful. Good. So my walk made with soul is, and it's not moving. Let me just see what's going on here. There we go. This is an amazing project, and Ol and everyone has kind of alluded to what we do. And we've and mention has been made of school shoes, and I think when the majority of us sitting here today listening to this or to these presentations have got a very nice pair of shoes on, or if you are working from home, probably your slippers. But we also know that a shoe is for many children or for many people not just a shoe. It's in many instances their only pair of shoes that they own, and for children, getting a pair of shoes and it could possibly be their first pair of new shoes. So they know hand-me-downs, and they've got a pair of sandals or tackies that's been handed down, but giving them a new pair of shoes does make a huge difference both physically and emotionally. So I'm just going to, and I'm a very fast speaker, so don't worry when you see this long agenda. We're just going to quickly run through everything that's has to do with my walk. So basically, my walk was started with quite a few things in mind and a few concepts. And obviously, there's a producer responsibility. So the products that we recycle, being IV bags, oxygen masks, and oxygen tubing, the IV bags are manufactured locally by Adcock Ingram Critical Care. So obviously they have a producer responsibility towards their product. Obviously also with regards to that, moving from a linear economy to a circular economy, we've got an amazing product, PVC. I absolutely love PVC. It's fully recyclable. It's so versatile. And it also helps us to move up in the waste hierarchy, you know, where we can't prevent using IV bags. We can't obviously reuse them, but we can recycle them and recycle them at a lower carbon footprint than using raw materials. And this also contributes to the customer, which is your healthcare facilities, to their drive to be zero waste to landfill. So the majority of our hospitals in South Africa, the hospital groups, all have targets for zero waste to landfill. It's kind of easy to get the low-hanging fruit, you know, through their municipal waste and normal household waste. But moving on to what we've classed in the Waste Act and in other waste legislation, healthcare risk waste is a total different thing. But projects across the world have shown this to be possible and actually also feasible. So my walk is a partnership between Adcock Ingram Critical Care. As I mentioned, they manufacture locally our PVC IV bags, and Netcare. Netcare being one of the hospital groups in South Africa. And they basically created My Walk. My Walk is a NGO, so a non-governmental organization. It's also registered not-for-profit, and it's also registered for as a public benefit organization. So anyone out there, corporates, I'm going to ask for money later on. I'm not scared to ask for money. But if you do donate to My Walk, you also get an 18A certificate that gives you some tax benefits at the end of the day. So this is a partnership between these two companies. They created the My Walk and also invested quite a lot of money in setting up our very own manufacturing plant. But those are not the only partners. So we are working in quite a few arenas, obviously in the healthcare environment. So the Department of Health is a very crucial partner, and we couldn't do anything without their support and the green light from them. Then also we operate in the Department of Basic Education sphere. So obviously we work very closely with them in order to identify the most vulnerable schools where we do our donations. And we also do that in conjunction with the Department of Social Development. They also have a list of schools and children that are most vulnerable and needy. And then obviously a critical partner for us is the Department of Environmental Affairs. So I briefly alluded in the previous slide that we are recycling healthcare risk waste. It's a fact. IV bags, oxygen masks, and oxygen tubing is seen as healthcare risk waste. It cannot be declassified or reclassified. It remains healthcare risk waste. But being said, it doesn't mean that it cannot be recycled. So the Department of Environmental Affairs is very progressive, and we've got an amazing legislation that do allow for recycling of many, many products. And we had to just prove that we had the necessary risk management and risk mitigation plans in place. And we're also subject to regular inspections from the Department of Environmental Affairs. But through that process and that partnership, we are able to do this project within the ambit of the law and the parameters set to us by our legislation. So basically, when we go out to a facility, we call them shoemakers. The nurses are our shoemakers. And we do go through a little process where we have a management onboarding. Obviously, the success of the project relies on quite a few key success factors, and one of those are the buy-in of management. Also, the training of staff. I'll also alluded to that, and we also sponsor the bins and everything to make sure that it doesn't cost the healthcare facility any money to participate. And then we enter into a permanent monitoring and evaluation process with the hospital that also includes refresher training sessions. So each and every staff member in the hospital receives training on a quarterly basis. We monitor the output coming from the hospitals where we do see higher levels of contamination. We've also got a change management process that kicks in. And we've got a champion in each hospital as well that helps us on the ground. And that's usually your occupational health and safety nurse. I'll also mention that, the nurses are quite eager to participate. We do find that our nurses are overworked. They have a lot to do. In many wards and facilities, staffing is an issue. But that being said, if we tell them about the project and about what is being done with the bags, and they can see the purpose and the social benefit, it almost makes it a no-brainer for them to participate. So they're very eager, and they do comply with all the rules. So currently we've got 19 hospitals participating in the project, all in Gauteng. We did a trial in KZN and the Western Cape. Unfortunately, we had to stop there for the time being due to logistical issues, but the idea is that eventually we would include all hospital groups within South Africa, and we would also expand to our major provinces. So how does it work? So obviously once an IV bag, so normally an IV bag is disposed of in a healthcare risk waste bin, or the red bins that you see in the hospital. Once it is placed in that red bin, no one is allowed to touch it or to go into the bin. So we have to do a separation at source or at point of generation. So right next to the red bin in the ward, we would put a blue bin, clearly marked with our stickers, so that the nurse can put all our PVC products into the blue bins. It is then collected or taken into the waste area. It's collected by Southern Basadi, which is our enterprise development partner. They do a quick visual inspection and sorting of the material to ensure that there are no contamination, because one of the rules is that we're not allowed to leave the healthcare facility with any contaminated material. And it's then transported to our factory, where it is washed, it's melted into black pellets, and the pellets are then processed at the MyWalk factory into shiny 100% recycled school shoes. The only thing on the shoe that is not made from PVC is the shoelaces. So it's one single mold. And as I mentioned, training is very, very important and part of our change management. So we've got very nice, you can just see some of that very nice games that we play with staff to educate them about waste management in the hospital. You'll see we also work on what's supposed to go into the other bins. So it's kind of an extra win for the hospital because staff is educated on overall waste management and they are always very eager to participate. We only recycle the empty IV drip bags. And I say, yeah, remember the soft one. So we also have a multi-layered non-PVC IV bag in the South African market. It's made from a polypropylene multi-layered material. And unfortunately, as is, it cannot be recycled. I know there are some trials in terms of looking at some energy recovery options for that bag, but obviously I think design for recycling, it comes to mind here. And it's so important to not just get an alternative, but to make sure that that alternative is not worse than the current one on the market. So we also do recycle uncontaminated oxygen masks and uncontaminated oxygen tubing and nasal cannulae. Basically, yeah. So we have a rule, if in doubt, throw it out. So obviously we teach the nurses that anything coming from isolation patients are not allowed into our blue bins. There's legislation that manages that process. It has to be discarded in healthcare risk waste. If it is a green patient, they are allowed to recycle, but I always say to them, if they feel uncomfortable or worried, that they should rather throw it out. Obviously, no IV lines. And then kind of a did you know fact that we only need 20 IV bags to make one pair of school shoes. So I say to the nurses that every 20 times that you make the right waste management decision, you've made a difference in a child's life, and suddenly it doesn't become such a big effort for them. We've also got our own mobile sorting unit. So when we started rolling out the project from our pilot sites to other hospitals, we noted that all of the hospitals don't have their own on-site sorting area, and it was kind of critical for us to do sorting before we leave the facility. To build a sorting facility at each hospital would not have been cost effective. So we kind of built one sorting facility that we can now take to the hospitals. It's got an in and an out, it's got lighting, it's got extraction fans, it's got all of the hygiene protocols, it can be plugged in, and it works really, really well. There are so many benefits to this project. So first off, you obviously see the environmental benefit. We're saving greenhouse gases. We are saving a natural resource, and we are making a useful product from that. But then obviously there's the enterprise development benefit, so job creation, really, really important for us in South Africa. The photo that you see there is from Southern Basadi. They are enterprise development partners. So we have assisted them in purchasing a truck for the collections. We also help them with business training and all of that to make sure that they are sustainable going forward. And then obviously the benefit in terms of social change. So we have basically 5 million children in South Africa that don't own a pair of school shoes. And and when I think about that number, it seems very overwhelming in terms of the number that we've donated. But as they say, how do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. So that's kind of what we are trying to do here with this initiative. So just some achievements. We've trained nearly 5,000 Netcare staff up to date. We've collected a total of almost 42,000 kilograms. And I like to say kilograms, tons doesn't sound so much. 42,000 kilograms of PVC material since we started that have been diverted from healthcare risk waste. And just with those few hospitals, you will see quite a distinct decrease in numbers from 2019 to 2020. So 2018 was our first year that we actually really collected from from the hospitals in an organized fashion. 2019 is what I would call a normal pre-COVID year. So we did really very well. Compliance was good. And then COVID came and in 2020. So you'll see a significant decrease there. And obviously the main reason for that was with the first lockdown, all hospitals cancelled elective surgeries. Patients were hesitant to go to hospital for minor ailments. So we had a very low bed occupancy rate. So if the bed isn't occupied, they're not using IV bags. We also see continuously with every wave an increase in isolation patients, our yellow and red zones. So obviously we are not allowed to collect any material from those zones. So when they convert more of the wards into yellow and red zones, obviously we lose that material. And then also for a part of the COVID pandemic, March to October, we decided to exclude oxygen masks and tubing from the project. We then did a risk management we went through a risk management phase, and we have then decided to re-include it again only from non-isolation patients. So those were the main challenges and the reason for our decrease in material we are able to collect. We are now working on finding ways how we could potentially collect material from isolation patients, and if it would be worthwhile, cost effective and environmentally sound for us to collect the material, to fog the material before it's taken away from the facility, and if it would be safe for our people to do that. But there's a little bit of research that needs to be done. So this is just, and I'm almost reaching the end of my presentation. This was a handover of school shoes I did at a farm school last week in the northwest, in the Potchefstroom or Tlokwe area. This little school has about 100 learners. It's in a very rural area. These children receive 3 meals a day at school. So the majority of schools in our target market only receives about 1 meal a day, but these children receive 3 meals because they normally don't get any meals at home. You can see, the pictures actually say more than what I can say. So these little ones got their first pair of new shoes. We cannot do this without sponsors, and if I tell you that it only costs 35 Rand per pair, you will not believe me. But that is really, really our costs from the moment, and we've costed this from the moment that we collect it from the hospital to the moment that we are able to put this pair of shoes with its laces into a box. It's 35 Rand. So we've had amazing sponsors up until now, Isogen South Africa, Sunday South Africa, Polyfloor, Empower Church, Bidvest Waltons, the Bidvest Group, and then also the Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation. But it doesn't need to be only corporate sponsors. I've had friends that sponsored 100 pairs of shoes to the President Kruger Children's Home in Pretoria, and 100 pairs of shoes is 3,500 Rand. So this group of friends came together and they each donated 350 Rand, and off we went, and we were able to donate to this children's home. So we really are inviting anyone to make a difference, whether it be big or small, so that we can donate. We've got shoes on the floor. We've got about 15,000 pairs of shoes currently on the factory floor looking for little feet. We only need the money to get it out there. So anyone listening out there, I had a quick look at the attendance register. I saw a lot of potential. So you're welcome to give me a call afterwards. So just again, my did you know? So as I said, 20 IV bags for 1 pair of shoes. And then you're welcome to visit our factory in Germiston. It really only takes 17 seconds to make 1 pair of one shoe, and just over a minute for 2 pairs. And we all know that the IV bag provides life-sustaining and life-saving fluids to a patient in need. And then this bag really goes on to become something more, to again make a difference. And this time it's a difference in a child's life by giving them pride and dignity. And these are just some of my photos from other donations. We are really proud of our initiative. We are hoping to grow it substantially in the coming years and to make a difference in those 5 million children's lives. Thank you very much.